Welcome back to our channel, True Crime Enthusiasts. I'm John Garfield. Have you ever heard of a killer who got 3 death sentences only to walk free and kill again? That's the story we're diving into today. His name was Kenneth Allen Mcduff, born in 1946 in Rosebud, Texas. They called him the Broomstick Killer. He got executed by lethal injection on November 17, 1998 at Huntsville Unit. By then, he faced charges for at least 9 murders, maybe up to 14. Most victims were young women. He targeted them at car washes, convenience stores, highways. Bodies turned up in fields, ditches, underbrush. One broken with a broomstick, that's where the name came from. It started August 6, 1966. Mcduff and a partner grabbed 3 teens in Everman, 2 boys, 1 girl, shot the boys in a trunk, raped and killed the girl. Cops caught him quick. Jury handed down death for each victim 3 times over. But in 1972, a Supreme Court ruling commuted it to life. Then, October 11, 1989, parole board let him out after just 23 years. Prisons were packed. They picked him. He didn't stop. Months out, bodies piled up. Seraphia Parker in 1989. Brenda Thompson in 1991, tortured first. Regina Moore days later. Colleen Reed at a car wash. Valencia Joshua on a golf course. Melissa Northrup, pregnant, from a store. He took $250 from the register. How does the system release a man like that? What went wrong with parole? Who paid the price? Don't forget to like and share this video with others. Drop your thoughts in the comments, subscribe for more. Now, let's get into the main content. To understand the severity, let's delve into the sequence of the murders. The information in this section is gathered from court records, police reports, and witness testimonies. This part is crucial because it reflects how the legal system was lax in the face of such heinous crimes. August 6, 1966, in Everman, Texas. Kenneth Mcduff and Roy Dale Green spotted 3 teenagers at a drive-in. Robert Brand, Johnny Marcus Dunham, and Edna Louise Sullivan. They forced them into a car at gunpoint. Mcduff drove to a remote field. He ordered the 2 boys into the trunk and fired shots through the metal until they stopped moving. Then he turned to Sullivan. He assaulted her repeatedly. When he finished, he grabbed a broomstick from the ground, pressed it against her throat, and pushed down until her neck snapped. The stick broke under the force. Bodies dumped in ditches and bushes. Green later said Mcduff showed no hesitation, like it was routine. That night earned Mcduff the name Broomstick Killer. But how did a small-town abduction spiral into something the system couldn't contain? The arrests came fast. Green cracked the next day, August 7, and led police to the sites. Mcduff got picked up soon after. Trials rolled out in 1966 and 1968. Juries handed down 3 death sentences, 1 for each victim. He sat on death row, but the clock ticked differently. June 1972, the Supreme Court ruled in Furman v. Georgia, striking down death penalties nationwide as arbitrary. Mcduff's sentences flipped to life in prison. No one expected release. Yet Texas prisons swelled beyond capacity, overcrowded cells, federal pressure to thin the herd. October 11, 1989, after 23 years, the parole board cut him loose. He walked out with a bus ticket and pocket change. Officials later admitted they prioritized space over risk. Mcduff had been denied parole 18 times before. What made the 19th different? Was it just numbers or something slipped through the cracks? Freedom didn't last without blood. October 1989, weeks after release. Seraphia Parker vanished from a Waco street. Her body turned up strangled, dumped like trash. Mcduff drove on, blending into construction jobs. He cruised highways, eyes on lone women. October 10, 1991, Brenda Thompson at a bus stop in Fort Worth. He grabbed her, drove to a field. Witnesses saw her fight, hands banging on windows as a patrol car passed. But the cops didn't stop. They thought it was a domestic spat. Mcduff tortured her for hours before strangling. Her body lay in woods, bruised and broken. 5 days later, October 15, Regina Deanne Moore disappeared from a truck stop. Same pattern: abduction, assault, death by hands or cord. Why didn't alarms ring louder when patterns matched his old crimes? The killings accelerated. December 29, 1991, Austin Car Wash. Mcduff and Alva Hank Worley targeted Colleen Reed. She washed her vehicle alone at night. They yanked her into their truck, drove off. Worley later testified. Mcduff smoked her cigarettes while assaulting her and strangled her in a field. Body burned to hide evidence. February 24, 1992, Valencia Joshua at a dorm in Reed College. No, wait, she visited Mcduff's place after meeting him at a bar. He choked her, dragged the body to a golf course pond. Water hid her for weeks. Then March 1, 1992, Melissa Northrup at a convenience store in Waco. She worked the night shift, pregnant with her third child. Mcduff entered, demanded cash, $250 from the register. He forced her into his truck, drove to a gravel pit, strangled her there, left her face down in dirt. Her husband reported her missing that morning. 6 victims post-release, all young women, all alone when he struck. But investigators whispered more, over 14 unsolved cases with his prints, from missing hitchhikers to dumped remains along I-35. How many red flags did the parole board ignore? This chain exposed the rot. Mcduff, a 3-time death row inmate, got a second chance that cost lives. Texas parole favored quotas over safety, clear cells, forget the monster. Families waited years for bodies, for closure. Thompson's sister said at a hearing, he took her like she was nothing. Northrup's kids grew up without a mother. The system failed at every turn. Early releases on burglaries, commuted deaths, that 1989 parole. It turned a contained killer into a roaming one. What if one denial had stuck? Would those women be alive? Yet the story doesn't end with bodies counted. In the sections ahead, we'll uncover the childhood signs that scream serial killer, the investigations that almost missed him twice, and the courtroom battles where he smirked through it all. So many early warnings flashed, bullying, boasts, and instead of stamping them out, the system fed them, letting a predator evolve unchecked. Before we get to how he was truly punished by the law, let's look back with me at the background and events that happened in the past that explain the formation of evil in him and why no one stopped him before it was too late. March 21, 1946. Kenneth Allen Mcduff came into the world in Rosebud, Texas, a small rural spot where fields stretched out and families scraped by. He grew up in a middle-class home with 5 siblings. His father worked the land as a farmer and ran a concrete business on the side. The mother, Addie Mcduff, stood out. Folks called her the pistol-packin' mama. She carried a gun in her purse, ready for trouble. Her temper flared quick, and she didn't hesitate to pull it out. Mcduff saw that growing up, the way she handled disputes with steel in hand. The house sat on quiet roads, but inside, rules bent toward force. What drove a mother to pack heat like that, and how did it shape the boy watching her every move? As a kid, Mcduff turned into a bully early. He threw rocks at classmates, shot BB guns at neighbors' kids. School didn't hold him. He dropped out young, wandered into petty crimes, stealing bikes, breaking into sheds. By 17, he got a motorcycle. That machine revved up his recklessness. He rode fast, pushed limits on dusty back roads. One day in 1964, he confessed to his brother. "I raped a girl," he said flat out. The victim survived, walked away bruised, but never went to the police. She stayed silent. Mcduff moved on like nothing happened. Why didn't she report it? Did fear keep her quiet, or was it the small town way where folks handled things privately? The crimes built from there, 1964 to 1965. Mcduff hit homes in Bell, Milam, and Falls counties. 12 burglaries, 1 attempted. Courts stacked 52 years on him, but sentences run concurrently. He served light time, walked free on parole in December 1965. Bars opened quickly for him. He stepped out. No chains holding back the urge that grew. Those early breaks laid the path. Steals turned to assaults, warnings ignored. How many signals did the system miss, letting a thief with violent edges slip through? Central Texas framed it all. Rural stretches, Interstate 35 cutting through like a vein. Mcduff knew those highways. He drove them as a construction worker, handled heavy machines, bulldozers, and excavators. Dirt moved easy under his control. He buried things deep where no one looked. That job hid tracks later, but the mindset clicked in. The hunter. He cruised hundreds of miles at night, eyes on easy targets. Young women at laundromats folding clothes alone. Clerks at convenience stores counting change under fluorescent lights. He pulled up, watched from the truck. The land offered spots, empty fields, gravel pits, woods off the road. Victims vanished there. His truck tires rolled over miles, engine humming in the dark. What turned a farm boy into a road stalker, picking spots like a predator scanning for weak prey. The family stayed close, but cracks showed. Siblings scattered, parents pushed on with the business. Mcduff drifted, no anchor pulling him straight. Rosebud's quiet hid the build, up, the gun, toting mom, the unchecked bullying, the quick paroles. No one stepped in hard. Schools let him go. Courts paroled fast. Neighbors whispered but looked away. The evil rooted deep in that soil, fed by overlooks. Why did no authority grab him sooner, before the hunts turned deadly? In the parts coming up, we'll see the chases and captures that followed, the trials where he faced the chair multiple times. But more than that, those sections lay out why the system kept turning a blind eye to Kenneth Mcduff's crimes, letting warnings pile up until bodies did too. Back to the case. This time let's look back together at the police activities that tracked him down, the arrests that stuck, and the courtrooms where verdicts landed. August 7, 1966. Roy Dale Green walked into the station in Marlin, Texas. He sat down and spilled it all. He described the routes they took, the fields where they stopped. Police followed his words. They searched bushes near Everman, pulled bodies from ditches, evidence stacked up, shell casings, tire tracks. That afternoon, Falls County Sheriff Albert Pamplin and Deputy U.S. Marshal Parnell McNamara closed in. Mcduff sat in a car outside a relative's house. They approached with guns drawn. He raised his hands. Cuffs clicked on. No fight. Pamplin drove him to jail. Green said later, "I couldn't sleep with it." But what pushed Green to turn so fast when others might have run? November 1966. Trial opened in Fort Worth. Prosecutors laid out the evidence, Green's testimony, crime scene photos. Jury deliberated for 3 hours. Death for the Sullivan killing. Mcduff stared ahead, no reaction. Then 1968. 2 more trials for the boys. Same room, same setup. Evidence repeated, bullets matched, timelines locked. Juries came back quickly. 2 more death sentences. Mcduff shuffled back to cells. Appeals filed automatic, but the system shifted. What if those early verdicts had executed right then? Would the later trails have stayed cold? October 1989. Mcduff stepped out on parole. Disappearances started along Central Texas roads. Women gone from streets, stores. Detectives noted patterns, abductions at night, bodies strangled, dumped off highways. Files piled up. They cross-checked old records. Mcduff's name surfaced. Similar methods, but he moved quiet, used aliases. March 6, 1992. Warrant issued. Firearms possession, drug dealing. Flyers went out. Tips trickled in. Why did the connections take years when the signatures matched his 1966 playbook? May 1, 1992. America's Most Wanted aired his segment. Grainy photo, details on the run. A coworker in Kansas City watched. He called the hotline. "That's Richard Fowler," he said. "Works trash collection with me." FBI ran fingerprints. Match confirmed. Teams mobilized. May 4th, 1992. Kansas City, Missouri. Task force hit the apartment. Deputy sheriffs, Falls County officers, door kicked in. Mcduff on the couch. They tackled him down. No shots fired. He went limp. Cuffed and loaded into a van. Extradited back to Texas. June 26, 1992. Indicted for capital murder on Melissa Northrup. Evidence built, witnesses from the store, truck descriptions. But how did a national TV tip crack what local leads missed? In the 1993 trial for Northrup in Waco, prosecutors called Alva Hank Worley first. He took the stand. "We grabbed her at the car wash," Worley said. Mcduff drove. He did the rest. Details poured out. Reed screams, the field where it ended. Then others testified. Friends, acquaintances. He bragged about the bodies. One said, "Tried to pull me into pimping girls." Defense pushed back. Accidents, alibis. But the jury leaned in. February 18, 1993. Verdict read. Guilty. Penalty phase followed. More stories, his boasts, the patterns. Death sentence handed down. 4th in Texas history for one man. Mcduff sat still. No appeal outburst. The gavel hit. Guards let him out. What made those testimonies turn the tide when earlier paroles had ignored the risks? The chase spanned decades, from a quick surrender in 1966 to a TV-fueled bust in 1992. Courts stacked sentences, but releases undercut them. Detectives pieced fragments, tips, prints, confessions, yet gaps lingered.
Why did parole boards overlook the warnings 3 times? Appeals dragged, but evidence held firm in the end. Coming up, we'll hit the final stretch on death row, the last rituals before the needle, and the ripples that reshaped Texas laws. But the real hook lies in the unsolved threads, the hidden graves and whispers of more hands involved, secrets Mcduff took silent.
After the 1983 death sentence for Melissa Northrup's murder, Kenneth Mcduff landed on Texas's death row. He started at Ellis Unit, the men's death row facility at the time. Later, they moved him to Huntsville Unit for the end. His health broke down there. Hepatitis C and cirrhosis hit hard. His liver failed, but he showed no regret. Back in the 1980s, during his life sentence after the 1968 commutations, he tried to bribe a parole board member with $10,000 in 1982. That got him an extra 2 years. A few weeks before his 1998 execution, he traded the location of Pauline Reed's body for small perks, like a dental check. Police dug up her remains that year. It gave her family some closure. Life on death row meant isolation, strict cells, limited movement. Mcduff stayed defiant. He didn't cooperate fully on other cases. November 17, 1998, marked the execution date at Huntsville Unit, known as the Walls. Guards led him into the chamber. He walked steady, face blank. No shakes, no words at first. The lethal injection started. Sodium thiopental put him under. Pancuronium bromide locked his muscles. Potassium chloride stopped his heart. He gasped a few times. Then still. Doctors called time of death at 6:26 p.m. local. His body went to Captain Joe Byrd Cemetery, the prison graveyard. The headstone listed only the execution date and his death row number. No name, no details. Families of victims watched through one-way glass. Reporters, too. Officials. Some sighed in relief when it ended. Hours before, Mcduff got his last meal. 2 T-bone steaks. Well done. All the fixings came with it. Potatoes, salad, bread, sauce. A standard Texas choice back then. The state served it in his cell. Tradition held until 2011 when they scrapped it. Strapped to the gurney, he spoke his last words. "I'm ready to be released. Release me." The statement hung there, mocking. It echoed his past paroles. No apology, no remorse. Warden Jim Willett noted it down. It stuck as a sign of his coldness. The aftermath shook Texas. Mcduff's case birthed the Mcduff rules. New laws built massive prisons, over 20,000 beds. Violent offenders now wait at least 40 years for parole consideration. High-risk releases got tighter oversight. Debates raged on parole board corruption. Accusations flew that bribes freed him 3 times despite death sentences. Those releases led to more deaths. A 1994 grand jury probe exposed lies. Former parole chair James Granberry got convicted for perjury. New rules limited advisors to lawyers only. Public trust crumbled. Police kept digging into missing persons cases linked to him through the 2000s. Mcduff became a symbol of justice's failures. Texas spent billions fixing the system. But questions linger. How many more victims died because of those paroles? Why did the board pick him to release amid overcrowding? Speculation fills the gaps. Theories point to a secret graveyard. Mcduff might have killed 15 to 20 people, maybe more. As a concrete worker, he used excavators to bury bodies along job sites. Deep holes hid them. Police searched based on tips from accomplices like Alva Hank Worley into the 2000s. Many remains stay missing. What if more sites exist? Rumors say his family bribed the parole board for the 1989 release. The grand jury investigated, but no direct proof tied them. Still, why free a 3-time death row inmate during the Ruiz versus Stell overcrowding crisis? Was there official cover-up? Connections to other crimes tease investigators. Did he have a sick network beyond Worley? Links to Austin's unsolved yogurt shop murders in 1991 or Interstate 35 vanishings? Evidence falls short. Profilers called him a hunter. He drove miles for easy targets, car washes, convenience stores, young women. But why? Family violence? Antisocial traits? His motives blur. Before death, whispers say he offered more body locations to delay execution. Prosecutors refused. He only gave up Reed's spot for minor favors. He died silent on the rest. How many victims really? Where are their bodies? Families wait. Wounds open. In the end, the Mcduff case exposed gaps in the Texas justice system. In 1989, parole boards released him despite 3 death sentences. Overcrowding from the Ruiz versus Estelle ruling pushed decisions. He killed at least 6 more. Families waited years for bodies. Police linked patterns, abductions on highways, bodies in fields. Reforms followed. Texas passed Mcduff laws in the 1990s. New prisons added 20,000 beds. Violent offenders now serve 40 years minimum before parole review. High-risk cases get lifetime monitoring. A 1994 grand jury probed bribes. Former parole chair James Granberry faced perjury charges. Rules changed. Only lawyers advise boards. Public trust eroded. Investigations into missing persons continued into the 2000s. Mcduff's releases cost lives. The system spent billions to fix flaws. Questions remain. Why free him? How many more died? That's the end of today's video. If it hit home or added value, hit like and share it with others. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Subscribe for more. Thanks and see you next time.